Hello, everybody. This is Barry Johns, and this is Studio Talk. And today I'm going to talk about in 2022, really, are there any kind of differences between the most recent version of USB-C compared to Thunderbolt? There's a stigma associated with, especially if you've been in this for quite some time, like I have, and really gone through the evolution of all of this. There's always been a stigma associated with any audio using USB in audio. Back in the day, it was, and I'll be honest with you, it wasn't that long ago, but it was just problematic like crazy, especially if you were using an interface with eight or more I/O associated with it. There were driver issues. That you could argue that are more on the manufacturer, but the drivers were hard to write because of the limitations of it. There were consistency issues between data flowing in and out, although technically on specs it should be able to do it, but there'd almost be like a traffic jam that would have in there that would give you errors all over the place. And so I remember when Thunderbolt was first launched, everybody saw that. I think everybody in audio at the time said that is the future. And quite frankly, at the time, with no question, it was, which is why the majority of audio interface manufacturers today that are connecting via protocol like that have chosen to go Thunderbolt versus USB. Maybe if you were like me, I kind of was weary of USB. I kind of felt like maybe it hadn't gone because I hadn't really tried it in a very, very long time. And recently, well, not recently, about 6 months ago, 4 to 6 months ago, I bought a RME Fireface UFX Plus that has both Thunderbolt and USB connected to it, or connectivity with it. And so I'm on an M1 Pro MacBook Pro, the most recent versions, which has Thunderbolt 4. And so when I first got it, the distance between my computer and my interface was farther than any cable that I could get at a reasonable price. And the really long one was just, and still is, outrageously expensive. I'm sure that'll come down over time, but it's outrageously expensive. So I went ahead and connected it up via USB 3. And I've had no issues. I mean, none. I've got 28 channels of I/O total going through that. I have a Ferrofish Pulse 16 connected to my Fireface Plus, which has 12 I/O on it. And so that gives me 28 I/O, no problem whatsoever. As a matter of fact, on USB-C, RME says you can easily do up to 68 channels with no problems whatsoever of I/O, all streaming to and from in both lanes, zero problems. And let's face it, today, even with modern versions of Thunderbolt, you could even argue the very first Thunderbolt 1 was more than anything any of us in audio are ever going to need. We simply don't need that much. It gives us a stability for sure. It gives us super fast connectivity, without a doubt. But as each one has come and gone, at the end of the day, I think it's one of those things that we've got to have the latest version of Thunderbolt. You never have needed that. I'm here to tell you, you have never have needed that. And I'm here to tell you today, the days of USB-C, the most recent versions of USB-C, being a problem at all in any way, shape, form, or fashion is just, I don't care what anybody tells you, it's just nonsense today. And there's plenty of data out there to prove that. You can go do your own research if you're a denier. And so either one of them are going to work great. If you happen to have issues with either Thunderbolt or USB-C, most likely it's the manufacturer's drivers that are the issue, or a problem within your computer. It has nothing to do with the way you're connecting it. Nothing whatsoever. So I think RME has already stated that they don't plan to put Thunderbolt anymore in any of their interfaces going forward. And one of the advantages to go into USB-C is the fact that it's cross-platform. It works easily between Windows and a Mac operating system, and that's super beneficial. It's also much cheaper to implement, and you're not handcuffed to the likes of Intel for the technology, okay? Which is one of the reasons RME is going away from it, from what I understand, because that Fireface Plus back there, as an example, I believe has Thunderbolt 2 on it. Intel apparently is just no longer supporting that, and so it's just no longer an option. And so I think RME said, okay, forget it. We don't need you anyway. We were only doing it because of the stigma associated with USB. And so, which is just in the past. It's in the past. So if you're concerned about it, I can tell you, you have no reason whatsoever today to be concerned about it. I think it is the future. And for what we're doing now, there is a place for Thunderbolt. If you're in a video world where you need super high data, you're transferring video and things like that, high-end video cards and stuff like that, there's certainly a place where Thunderbolt, without a question, is your best choice and your best option. And so, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about audio, which quite frankly has and likely never will be that demanding, all right? So if you like the things I talk about on this channel, do me a favor, hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell so when you know I got a new video out, it helps me grow the channel. I really appreciate it. Until then, have yourself a confident USB-C day. Bye-bye.